In the heart of a vast grassy plain where the wind whispers through stalks of wheat instead of rustling waves stands an anomaly, a lighthouse, tall, proud, and star-white against the endless green and blue. It keeps a lonely vigil, but there's no ocean for miles, no craggy cliffs, no sandy shores, just an ocean of land stretching. To every horizon, locals call it the landlocked light, a curious relic from a time no one can quite remember. They say it's been there forever, a silent monument to a forgotten coast. Every single night, as twilight paints the sky in shades of bruised purple and soft orange, the lighthouse awakens. Its massive lamp begins its slow, rhythmic rotation. A brilliant, powerful beam of light slices through the darkness, sweeping across the plains, reaching for an empty horizon. It doesn't guide ships. There are none to guide. It doesn't warn of rocks. The only hazards are the occasional wandering flock of sheep, yet it flashes, a steady, deliberate pulse like a heartbeat in the immense quiet of the night. It calls out night after night, a question posed to the vast, silent emptiness. What is it searching for? What does it remember that the land itself has forgotten? The old-timers in the nearby village have theories, of course. They spin tales over warm drinks on cold nights. Some say it was built by a mad king who longed for the sea he'd never seen. Others claim it's a beacon for visitors from the stars. But the most whispered story, the one that feels closest to the truth, is that the lighthouse isn't looking for something it has lost. It's waiting for something to return. It remembers, even if everything else has forgotten. The lighthouse remembers the sea. It remembers the taste of salt on the air, the cry of gulls, the thunderous crash of waves against its base. And so it waits, believing with every flash of its light that the sea will remember it too. For centuries its call went unanswered. The plains remained just plains. The wind carried the scent of soil and wildflowers, not brine. The lighthouse keeper, a title passed down through generations, dutifully polished the great lens, fueled the lamp, and watched the light spin, more out of tradition than belief. The current keeper, a young man named Elias, had grown up in the shadow of the tower. He knew its every stone, every gear, every groan it made in the wind. To him it was simply home, a strange and wonderful home, but a home nonetheless. He didn't believe the old stories, but he respected the duty. Then one night something changed. It was a night like any other. The moon was a sliver in the sky and the stars were scattered like spilled salt. Elias was in the lamp room, watching the beam sweep across the darkness when he saw it, a flicker, not from a distant farmhouse or a passing car, but out on the horizon in the deepest part of the night where the light seemed to be swallowed whole. It was a shimmer, a faint, ethereal glow that answered the lighthouse's beam. Elias rubbed his eyes, thinking it was a trick of the tired mind, but it happened again. Each time the lighthouse's beam passed that spot, the shimmering light pulsed back, faint but undeniable. The next morning, Elias walked out to the spot where the light had appeared. There was nothing there but waving grass. He dug his hands into the soil, expecting nothing, but his fingers brushed against something smooth and cool. He unearthed a seashell, perfect and pearlescent, humming with a faint, resonant energy. It was impossible. He was hundreds of miles from the nearest coast. That night, the shimmering on the horizon was stronger, and the next morning he found not one seashell but dozens, scattered in a perfect arc, as if a wave had just receded. The sea was answering, but it wasn't bringing water. It was bringing memories. Night after night, the phenomenon grew. The horizon no longer just shimmered. It began to ripple like a heat haze, but cool and blue, and with each sweep of the lighthouse's beam, the mirage grew more detailed. First, it was the ghostly outline of waves, cresting and falling in silence. Then the spectral shapes of gulls, wheeling and diving without a sound. The plains themselves began to change. The scent of salt, faint at first, now hung heavy in the air, overpowering the smell of the earth. The grass near the lighthouse began to take on a bluish, almost translucent hue. Elias was no longer just a keeper. He was a witness. He documented everything, sketching the ghostly apparitions, collecting the impossible seashells that now littered the ground like pebbles on a beach. The villagers, once dismissive, now gathered at the base of the tower each evening, watching in silent awe as the spectral ocean manifested. They watched as the memory of the sea, pulled from the depths of time by the lighthouse's insistent call, slowly bled back into reality. The light wasn't just a beacon. It was an anchor pulling a forgotten world back into existence. One evening, as the ghostly tide rolled in closer than ever before, its silent waves lapping at the very foundation of the tower, something new appeared in the mirage. It was a ship, a great three-masted schooner, its sails full with a phantom wind, gliding silently across the spectral waves. As the lighthouse beam illuminated it, figures could be seen on its deck, their forms indistinct like smoke. They weren't sailors. They were memories, a captain pointing toward the light, a child waving from the railing, a lover staring out at the horizon, waiting. Elias realized the profound truth of his duty. The lighthouse wasn't just remembering the sea. It was remembering the lives the sea had touched, every soul that had ever looked to a lighthouse for guidance, for hope, for a sign of home. Its light was a call not just to the water, but to the stories held within it, the forgotten voyages, the tearful goodbyes, the joyful returns. The sea was the vessel, but the memories were its precious cargo. And the lighthouse, the forgotten lighthouse in the middle of the land, was their final welcoming port. The spectral ocean never fully returned. It remained a beautiful, haunting mirage, a nightly spectacle of what was. The plains did not flood, and the world did not change back, but something more profound happened. The people remembered. The stories of the sea, once relegated to folklore, were told with a newfound reverence. The children of the village no longer saw a strange stone tower. They saw a guardian of stories, a keeper of souls. Elias continued his watch, but his duty was no longer a tradition. It was a sacred trust. Each night, as he lit the lamp and watched its beam sweep across the land, he knew he wasn't just sending a light into the darkness. He was saying hello to an old friend. He was welcoming home the ghosts of the tide, the memories of the waves, and the echoes of every sailor who ever looked for a light in the storm. The lighthouse, which had stood alone for so long, was finally reunited with its purpose, not by the return of the water, but by the enduring power of memory. It no longer waited for the sea it had lost. It now stood as a testament to the sea it would never ever forget. Thank you so much for watching this story unfold with me. If you enjoyed this journey to the landlocked light, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel for more tales from the edges of imagination. It truly means the world. Until next time, keep looking for the light.